everyone, Voodoo here, and this isn't originally what I planned on having a video about today, but we've had some insanely big things happen over the weekend, and Havoc's kind of saved. Aldrachi's dead, Fel-Scarred's alive, long live the king, the old king is dead, and I'm feeling in a much more hopeful spot. So I guess we'll just kind of get into it, talk about what happened, talk about where we sit now, and all that stuff. Before we do that, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, of course. It's free, helps support the channel, helps me grow, and helps me put up more cool stuff. So with that, stop dilly-dallying and just get right into it. All right, so talk about kind of where we are. We look at where we've been. So this is the most recent best sims, whatever, for Havoc Demon Hunter. As of a few days, weeks ago, best build's Oppenheimer build, which is no enemies necessary plus essence break, yada yada yada. This is Aldrachi Reaver, you know, Fel-Scarred, 14% behind, inertia stuff 5% behind. There were some changes to trinkets because they buffed them, yada yada yada, etc etc. Now the thing with this is that sims can be bugged sometimes, and that's basically what's happened. So not only is Aldrachi Reaver bugged in game, and these sims ignoring that, the actual sims for Fel-Scarred themselves were bugged. So what we found that out, showed it to like Azor who worked on them, Nifilium found them out, me and Rev were there, Shad was there, TXTBs, you know, the whole gang. But basically what we found out is that the Fel-Scarred sims, we're pretty massively under simming. This is significantly closer. So what was basically going on, if you'll notice, Burning Blades and Demon Surge are much higher than they are over on this other sim here. Can't pull up the report, but you know, Fel-Scam and stuff like that didn't have it as high as it should. So what was going on here was that Burning Blades and Demon Surge were just not working with enemies necessary at all. So they weren't getting the mastery scaling. Now on top of that, they're coded a bit weird and are getting a little bit more than that. I don't want to go too deep in that in case a dev watches and fixes it, but they're a little bit stronger than maybe they're supposed to be. Hard to say. Basically what was going on is that the devs purposely or impurposely or whatever coded Burning Blades and Demon Surge's conversion through any means necessary differently than every other spell in the game. So it's a different thing. It's not just like, oh, you know, Immolation Aura, IB, Spell Devastation, all that stuff changes the same way as through any means necessary, but Burning Blades and Demon Surge change differently. I think each of them are even different from each other, and that caused Simulation Craft, the stuff that runs raid bots, to not be able to read it properly. So what that was causing is Burning Blades and Demon Surge to just do significantly less damage and not be working with mastery at all. So that really decentralized mastery for these sims and end up having Fel-Scarred simming significantly lower than it should be. Now on top of that, they also fixed Burning Blades to work with Annihilation. Now there was a bug like this for a while. They fixed this a few days ago, I believe, maybe Thursday, Wednesday, something like that. Bug with this for a while where Burning Blades reads whenever you use it just says Throglaive, but it's Throglaive, Chaos Strike, and Melees cause a target to take 35% additional damage. Maybe up here it'll say it properly. Yeah, here we go. So Chaos Strike, Throglaive, and auto attacks deal 35% damage as fire over 6 seconds. Now, this wasn't working with Annihilation, so that was a pretty big loss there. And eventually they ended up fixing that. And then later on, we've started to notice that Burning Blades was doing significantly more damage in game than in the Sims. And we looked at it and we found out that it is the mastery issue. So looking at the tree here, this is fire damage and this is fire damage, and those were not converting to chaos to get our mastery increase in the Sims, and they now are, and that means Fel-Scarred is significantly better than it was before. On top of that, the best Fel-Scarred build is Inertia. I don't think Shadow Destiny is that far behind if you don't like the mover builds, but this build is just significantly better for raid environments, because there's never that question of uptime kind of destroying your damage, right? Like if we look at the Aldrachi Reaver builds here, this build is the highest. It's about 5% ahead, but the issue with this is that it's hard to fully get fully grab the damage this build provides because of the uptime requirements, both of Cycle of Hatred and Shattered Destiny, but also because of the stuff in the tree itself, right? Thrill of the Fight wants you to be on the target as much as possible. Art of the Glaive wants you to be on the target as much as possible because of Demonic Appetite, Summoning Souls. And Wounded Quarry also wants to be on target as much as possible because of the soul generation chance, right? So it's this big feedback loop where you need uptime to keep your buffs up with your Thrill of the Fight, to keep your glaives rolling with Art of the Glaive, to keep your souls generating with Wounded Quarry, but also to use Chaos Strike in order to generate souls, and then also getting reductions here. Fel-Scarred also a bit uptime, like that's just kind of melee, but it's just for burning blades, which is much less important. This is a pretty bursty profile. If we look at full HTML report profile, very nice peaks and valleys. This is what you want for a DPS profile in raids, because you do your damage, and if you get a mechanic in your downtime, it matters significantly less. So this is really, really good. This is what you want to see for a damage profile. You do not want a flat line. That is mostly terrible, but this is great. And on top of that, the burst AoE that Fel-Scarred does is significantly better as well. Now, the one downside of this is that it's probably not as good in like 2-target cleave because of Focus Hatred being bad, but there's still a chance you'll end up, you know, playing this anyways. Now, on top of that, one other thing that's kind of causing this 1.48, you're probably like, oh, but Voodoo, you know, this one here, 1.456, you know, still a little bit ahead, but you know, they're basically the same. Well, the other thing with that is that there's bugs with Aldrachi Reaver. So this is the single target Oppenheimer sim, which is this build. These sims are a bit off. I think they're 40k below. I think Azor cooked something else up a bit, but you can see the inertia builds as well here. But there are 2 bugs currently with Aldrachi Reaver. Now, the biggest one is that Art of the Glaive here, Reaver's Glaive, has a unhasted GCD. So we'll hop into the game here and I can show you that. All right, so we're actually in game now. And as I was saying, Reaver's Glaive here has a 1.5 second unhasted GCD. It feels terrible. So basically every ability in the game when you use it triggers what's known as a global cooldown or GCD. And that generally scales with haste, right? So if I just push like a normal ability here, like you can look at all my abilities on the bar, they'll get locked out for a bit, right? I use this, it gets locked out. Chaos Strike locks up my other abilities, etc, 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 right? There's a GCD for everything. Now the thing with that is that Reaver's Glaive was never put onto the whitelist to allow it to be hasted. So if I use Chaos Strike, that's the normal GCD. If I use Reaver's Glaive, it's significantly longer. And this obviously gets worse the more haste you have. So if we manage to generate ourselves back up to, I don't think I have soul sigils because I forgot, but if we manage to get ourselves back up to another glaive here, which hopefully we can do, there we go, we got another one. So if we go into meta, we grab all our haste that way, we'll even lust. So this is a normal GCD with lust and all this haste. Boom, very quick, right? We throw Reaver's Glaive, incredibly long, and that during that time you're locked out and you can't use anything. Now the other bug is that Warblade's Hunger, which is this buff here, next Chaos Strike will deal extra damage, doesn't actually work with Annihilation. It's just, I don't know why, it just doesn't. So that's an extra bug there. So Warblade's Hunger, just for reference here, Soul Fragment causes your next Chaos Strike to deal 11,000 additional damage. That doesn't work with Annihilation. See here, it's just nowhere on the it's like very low down here, but Annihilation does consume it, so it consumes it and it causes the buff to go away without dealing any damage. Now it does work with Chaos Strike, so if I, you know, just grab a soul here, next Chaos Strike, use it, should show up on my meters here. Below, it's not even on the meters at all. It's weird. Basically the ability just doesn't work how it should. Those two things together lead to the bugged state of Aldrachi Reaver. Those two things lead to this thing being bugged, right? It leads to this lower than it should be build, 1.46 or 1.42 with this worse sim. Again, I don't really know what difference here was, maybe a little bit of APL stuff. But because of this, and also because of just like the uptime requirements for this things, Fel-Scarred is just going to be better. It's going to be better in Raid, it's going to be better in Mythic Plus. There's very niche scenarios now where it's not going to be better, but we're basically safe. Fel-Scarred is so much more enjoyable than Aldrachi Reaver. It's not like a great hero talent tree. There's a lot of issues with it, but it is significantly better. Aldrachi is a mess. I don't think it's very fun. It's hard to do in real content. It's hard to, like, just the way it plays isn't very fun. It's very punishing, stuff like that, right? And you need so much uptime. Fel-Scarred is way better. It's simpler. The burst damage is really good. The burst cleave is really good. The profile is much better. Despite, you know, Focus Hatred being bad. So all in all, just way better for Demon Hunter and stuff like that. So we're saved, we're fixed. Shout out to everybody who discovered this, helped find it, all that stuff. So great stuff there. That's basically just gonna be the video, just me kind of alerting you guys to the change here. Now obviously there's no guide out yet on my channel about it, but Friday should be my Havoc Demon Hunter guide. I think I'll do like a survival one Monday and then like a vengeance one next Friday as the season starts. I think, when is this coming out? This is coming out Monday. Yeah, so Friday, before the season starts, should be my Havoc guide. Obviously, if things are changing, I'll post a pin about it, or I'll change something about it. But that should be my next video. We'll go over all the builds, all the gear and stuff like that for Fel-Scarred rotationally. I might throw up some builds of Aldrachi, but it might barely touch it because honestly there's no reason to play it anymore. Fel-Scarred's just going to be better, easier to hit the 7 DPS, easier to play, and just honestly kind of cooler too. So there you go, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Wasn't what I was planning for today, but this is pretty big, so peace, I guess. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you Sky Elk, Andrew Keenel, 100,001 Zans, Brad Wisniak, Felfa Darren Dark Terror, and Magic Man 133. Thank you all so much. If you want to help support me and help fund the channels and the videos, follow the link in the description to become a channel member and get some cool perks in the process. Again, thank you all so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.